In this video, we're going to talk all about the 10 fragrances that we should have in our collection when we're first starting out collecting fragrances. These are all designer fragrances, and we're going to talk about these coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time landing on this channel and or you've been watching my videos but still haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell icon so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. And we do a lot of giveaways here, so I hope you don't miss out. So yeah, that's right. Today's video is all about the 10 fragrances that we should have in our collection when we're first starting out collecting fragrances. We've got some classics here, and we've also got some more modern releases. But a lot of these have been around since the 2000s. I don't see any that's older. Actually, there's one that's older. Other than that, all of these are pretty modern. So let's go ahead and get started. It's not any specific order. I'm going to start out with the oldest in the collection, and that is Guerlain's Habit Rouge Eau de Toilette. Now, Eau de Toilette, not the Eau de Parfum, but I guess you could go with the Eau de Parfum if you wanted to go with the Eau de Parfum, but I went with the Eau de Toilette because I find this to be a very classic masculine release that doesn't smell so dated. Like, I wanted to include in this video YSL's Kudos, but I thought it could be pretty dated, so I didn't include something like that in here. But I thought Habit Rouge by Guerlain is not so dated smelling, even though it does have some classicness to it. It's definitely classic. It was launched in the late 50s, I think 59. I find that what they did to the Eau de Toilette in 2003, they kind of reimagined it and reformulated it. I think it's pretty modern enough, but it's lots of oriental notes. It's a vanilla, but you've got woody notes and citruses in here as well. And it's just a very pleasant, classy fragrance to wear. If you don't know this one, you should definitely check it out, and it should be in your collection. Probably, maybe it might be a little old for younger noses, but not so old for older noses, or more advanced noses, even if they're young, should appreciate something like this. So it's a classic that every man should have, and it's Habit Rouge. So it's Guerlain's Habit Rouge. That is one you should check out. Next up, I think vetiver is a very important fragrance, especially for men. There's of course Guerlain's vetiver, but we're not talking about Guerlain's vetiver in this video because we already just featured Guerlain with Habit Rouge. But I wanted to bring in something that's very affordable, and the affordable part is the fact that these are all affordable fragrances. You can find discounts, but this is probably one of the most affordable fragrances that are out there ever, and that is ENCRE Noir by Lalique. Now, you can get deals for this for under $30 for 100 ml. And what I like about this is it's a classy, masculine, dark vetiver. It's a kind of scent that you wear every day, and just a signature scent, kind of a scent. But it is on the darker side, and so you've got to be into the dark vetiver, slightly inky kind of vetiver, smoky. So it's an awesome release, and again, a classic men's fragrance. It's vetiver, it's earthy, woody, dark, as I said. And of course you can go with something like the Parfum version of this. It's called ENCRE Noir à la Extrême. I really like that one actually too. But I wanted to go with the original because here I think it's a little more easier to access, especially if you're starting out. And there's also the sport version, which is very sporty. It's fun, citrusy, lots of citruses. So it's a totally different take on the vetiver that's in here. But I think this is the classic one, and this is one that I think every collector that's starting out should have in their collection. So ENCRE Noir by Lalique, you can get it for around $30. The other thing I want to mention, if you've ever thought about getting the Pour Elle version of ENCRE Noir, the ladies version, that one's also good, but it's not really vetiver to me. I think there is vetiver, but it's lots of roses, and it kind of hints at Lyric Man from Amouage. So in case you've been wondering, do check that one out as well. But ENCRE Noir is one that you should have in your collection when you're first starting out collecting fragrances. So that's by Lalique. So next up, we're going with a YSL released. This is a brand that I don't talk much about in my videos. It's a designer, of course. These are all designers. Although there's a technicality between if this one's really considered a designer, but they do have makeup. It's not only fragrances that they sell, so I guess we can call them a designer for now. But this is YSL, and this is a classic fragrance dating back to the early 2000s when Tom Ford worked for YSL and he launched a fragrance called M7. They reformulated it and repackaged it into this right here, and this is Oud Absolu. Now, it was in a different bottle just before this one. I had a bottle of that, and now I have this one. And I think the scents are totally similar. This one with this other square bottle that was darker. And the other thing is, I find it to be very close to the original M7 that Tom Ford worked on, the tall bottle, except for the fact that this is a little more orangey. There's a little more like citrus notes in here. But I think every collection should have an oud, and when M7 was first launched under YSL, it was a pretty groundbreaking release. So that's why when Tom Ford left YSL and the fragrance was no longer in production, they rebranded and then launched it in these square bottles. And so I think it's a great designer oud. It's probably one of the very first ouds that were launched, and I find it totally wearable. It's not like a stinky or offensive kind of an oud. It's very easy to wear, very woody, but I find it to be more like a fall or winter appropriate scent. So do check out M7 Oud Absolu by YSL. I think this is a staple for any collector that's just starting out collecting men's fragrances and wearing them. So M7 Oud Absolu by YSL. We're going to the second YSL fragrance. Again, it's an older one. It's not something that was launched recently, but I think every men's collection should have like a fougere or a barbershop type scent, aromatic type scent in their collection. And this is the original bottle of RIVE GAUCHE in this canister bottle like this. It currently comes in a bottle like this, but it's still good like this too, but I kind of prefer this one, and if you can find this, I'd snatch it up. And what I like about this is the herbal notes. It's fresh, it's herbal, spicy. There's star anise, there's sage, there's lavender. Just a really pleasant, classy, gentlemanly, classic fragrance that I think a collector that's just starting out should have in their collection. Again, these canisters were a little better, and I think what they did was they basically uniformed all of their bottles and became like this. Even M7 was in a different looking bottle. I guess it kind of makes sense when they go uniform, everything is consistent, whereas one bottle looks like that and one bottle looks like that. And not YSL, but Guerlain recently did that with their bottles as well. But going back to this scent, it's a great scent. Really easy to wear, spicy, herbal, aromatic fougere fragrance. Rive Gauche, do check it out, do get it. It's really good, really good. So I recommend that one. So next up, we're going to two fragrances from the house of Mugler. I'm skipping Amen because I find it to be a little more complicated or a little difficult to wear. But we are going to go with the first one, Pure Havane. Now, Pure Havane might be a little more complex than the fragrances that I've mentioned already. It's a tobacco, it's a honey and tobacco basically. So it's pretty intense also for what it is. And I think it's one of the better releases from Mugler. Cherry vibe in there as well, but just great combo of tobacco and honey with the Mugler DNA. Just a lovely scent. It's perfect for late fall, winter, early spring, I guess, when it's cold out. It's a great scent for that type of weather. So if you don't know Mugler, I'm a big fan. I'm sure you know that already. And this is definitely a staple for someone that's just starting out with collecting fragrances or getting into the fragrance hobby and wearing lots of fragrances. A great one for a newbie to start out with. So do check out Pure Havane, and also see my review for this one. I do have a review for this Pure Havane that I did recently, and we also did a review of Guerlain's Habit Rouge as well, so do check that out. Okay, next up from Mugler, we're going with another one that's a staple, that's definitely a required fragrance for when you're first starting out collecting fragrances, and that is Pure Malt. Now these two are probably the biggest selling fragrances from Mugler. And Pure Malt, whereas this was tobacco and honey, this is barley, whiskey, boozy, with the Amen Mugler DNA. Just another lovely, lovely scent. I love wearing this one. I guess I was really into this one. Now I'm kind of like going back to this. Kind of my taste kind of changed a little bit. So I'm preferring this over this right now, but there was a time when this was like king for me. I absolutely loved it. So it's just a great, great release. It's definitely a requirement for when you're starting out collecting fragrances. And if you have the budget, you can probably just snatch up all 10 of these fragrances that I've mentioned here, probably under $500. If not, even some you can even probably do it for around $400, because some of these are really, really inexpensive, and you can find deals online. I'll put a link to the fragrances, or go and buy some decants or samples to test them out first if you're gonna like them. I recommend these, and I think these are the ones that you should have when you're first starting out collecting fragrances and wearing lots of different designer fragrances. So Pure Malt by Mugler is one. Now we've got one here from the house of Hermes, and this is a staple. This one I wore so much back in 2006 through 2009. This is Terre de Hermes, this big bottle that I have, created by Jean-Claude Elena. Now this is vetiver. It's earthy, woody, and it's also got citruses, orange, lots of orange. So it's a great combo. When it first came out, I had read an article in Departures magazine, and I immediately rushed to Nordstrom and picked up a bottle right on my birthday. It was my birthday gift to myself in 2006. And since then I've been a fan, but I kind of slipped down a little bit and then kind of came back into wearing it. And I have both the EDT, which is this one. I also have the Parfum, the Pure Parfum edition. And then there's the white capped one, which is more fresher, a little more aromatic. I have that one as well, which I really like. So you can choose and pick which one you want. But I think the EDT and the Parfum are more closer, and the white capped one is a little distant from the way this smells. So you can figure out which one you like. But this is a classic. You need to have this in your collection when you're starting out, especially when you become like first obsessed with fragrances and you're like, okay, I got to get me something from this house. And again, buy samples or decants, or if you have like the funds for like buying a bunch of them at once, these 10 I think are really, really appropriate for you to have when you're first starting out. So Terre de Hermes, and that one's a great one from the brand Hermes. Next up, we've got one from the house of Armani, and Armani was completely a miss for me for a while, but I'm back on Armani, and this is Acqua di Gio Profumo, or you can also do the new one, Profumo Special Blend, because I kind of find them very, very similar, very, very close. This kind of reminds me of the original Acqua di Gio that was launched in 96 or 97. I can't remember the exact date right now. And what they've done with the original Acqua di Gio has become like too watered down for me. And it kind of smelled like this, I remember. Just a lot more sharper and a lot more aromatic. And something about the new one is just kind of like, just doesn't do it for me. But this one's a really great classic fragrance, and I absolutely love it. Now you can go with the original if you want. I prefer this one. This one has a little more oomph to it, a little more interesting things going on with it, rather than the first one is just like water, just spray it and just kind of loses its effect after a while, and it doesn't last that long. But this one's great to have. Really, really good one. And you can start out with this one or go with the Acqua di Gio, as I said, and there's also the Essenza. But this one's a good aquatic. Even though I don't have aquatics in here, if you're into that, you can start out with this one or go with the original Acqua di Gio. But I really like this one and I love wearing it. So it's Acqua di Gio Profumo. The next two are from the house of Dior, and we'll go with the one that's oldest. And that one is Eau Sauvage. Now, you can go with the Parfum edition, and now they have a Parfum 2017 edition, or you can go with the original. The original is a classic masculine, classy fragrance. Great, great release. Perfect for summer, perfect for hot days. Aromatic, there's a bit of vetiver in there, lots of citruses and herbal notes. Just a great, great scent. Absolute love. I think this has actually changed since the first days of its release. It smells a little different, but it smells more modern now, because probably what they had in the old days is not what this smelled like, so they wanted to update it for modern men. So it's modern enough for younger noses. It's citruses, as I said, and it's refreshing and never get tired of it. So Eau Sauvage from the house of Dior, and I'm not talking about Sauvage, I'm talking about Eau Sauvage. So this is a great one to start with if you are just starting out collecting fragrances. Last but not least, from the house of Dior, this is a staple also, and we're going with Dior Homme. So you can go with the Dior Homme Intense, you can go with the Dior Homme Parfum. I just meant to bring this one in because I think when people are just starting out with fragrances collecting, they usually start out with the original. And this has flankers, and whereas they're so different, the flankers with these two compared to the original Amen, here the flankers are similar takes on the original Dior Homme. So Dior Homme is a classy, fresh, powdery, almost lipsticky kind of smelling classy men's fragrance. It's just a great groundbreaking release from this house, and it's a great release and smells awesome to wear. Now, I prefer the Dior Homme Parfum over the Dior Homme because I just like the intensity of it. But to start out with as a young nose, when you're starting collecting, go with the original and see what it's all about. They come in multiple sizes. This is a large size. And just a lovely, lovely scent. I actually really love the iris lipsticky kind of smell. Absolutely love it. And they use it pretty nice sparingly in this collection for men, Dior Homme. So if you don't know it, do check it out. Both of these are Dior's, as I said. And this is my 10 fragrances that all men should have when they're first starting out collecting fragrances. Classy ones, great ones, long-lasting ones, gentlemanly ones, earthy ones, gourmands, and there you have it. So what are your favorite 10 fragrances that you started out with? What are some of the fragrances that you think that men that are starting out collecting fragrances should start out with? Do put those down below so we can get a conversation started. Also, guys, thank you for watching this video. Appreciate the support. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.